By the end of this workbook, you'll be able to look at any company in your pipeline and know, with evidence instead of gut feel, whether they're actually worth your team's time, because you'll have a validated ideal customer profile, an ICP scorecard, a full map of everyone in the buying committee, and an outreach playbook built to reach them. Right now, most B2B teams describe their ideal customer with a job title and a headcount range. That's not an ICP. It's a guess dressed up as strategy, and it's why deals stall for months and then die in a room you were never invited into. This is for revenue teams, sales, marketing, product, whoever touches the customer, who are tired of chasing leads that were never going to close and tired of watching a deal disappear because some VP of IT they'd never met vetoed the whole thing. If that's familiar, this workbook is built for exactly that problem. This is a series, not a single sitting. There are 8 lessons, each its own episode, and it's completely fine to watch one, close the video, actually do the work on the page, and come back next week for the next one. Every episode tells you plainly what it needs from the one before it, so picking this up cold, or picking it back up after a break, won't leave you lost. And here's the part that actually matters. Later lessons build directly on what you write down in earlier ones. Lesson 4's ICP statement literally starts from the sentence you write in Lesson 1. If you just watch and don't write anything down, you'll hit a wall by Lesson 4 with nothing to work from. Grab the printable workbook linked in the description or open your own notebook. Either way, write as you go. 8 lessons from now, you won't just understand what an ICP is. You'll have built one, with your team's fingerprints on every page of it. Let's start with the problem you actually solve. This workbook exists because behind every deal you're chasing is someone trying to build something real, and the mission behind it is to hand you the insight and structure to turn that ambition into an actual, working business, starting with knowing exactly who you're building it for. This workbook is the action layer for finding your best customers, built for revenue teams who are tired of chasing the wrong leads. It takes the abstract idea of an ideal customer profile and turns it into something you can actually defend in a room, a map of your buying committee, a completed scorecard, a targeted outreach playbook. You're not here to learn theory. You're here to build tools that drive revenue. The 8 lessons are sequenced deliberately. The first defines the problem you solve. The second gets you naming exactly who you need to talk to. The third arms you with the right questions to ask them. The fourth turns those answers into your first draft ICP. Lessons 5 through 7 are where you stress test that draft against how the market actually behaves and how messy multi-stakeholder deals really are. And the 8th makes sure none of it goes stale. By the time you're through, you'll have produced a real arsenal, a definition of the core problem you solve, a map of the decision-making unit with roles and priorities, a bank of high-impact interview questions, a draft ICP statement and scorecard, a market segmentation map, a framework for spotting the real decision-maker, an outreach playbook built for your ICP, and a plan for keeping all of it current. Put together, that's not 8 separate exercises. It's one connected system your whole team can align around. This is a system for building a data-driven ideal customer profile for complex B2B sales, one that doesn't pretend a deal has just one buyer. Every lesson asks you to produce something concrete, from a bank of interview questions to a working outreach playbook. And while you can do this solo, it gets sharper when you pull in whoever else on your team touches the customer. The structure moves you from definition to action. The early lessons are about getting your own team aligned and actually talking to customers. The middle stretch is where you build, synthesizing everything you've learned into a first draft ICP. And the later lessons are the stress test, where you check that draft against how real, multi-stakeholder deals actually unfold, then turn it into something usable. None of this is about collecting knowledge for its own sake. You'll walk away with a scorecard you can run against every new opportunity, a DMU map that tells you who's actually in the room, and an outreach playbook built to reach them. These are tools you use on Monday morning, not concepts you nod along to. Here's the roadmap. We move lesson by lesson, each one its own episode, from defining the problem you solve, all the way through to keeping your ICP alive long after this workbook's done. Each lesson builds on the last, and each one will tell you exactly what it needs from you before it starts. This workbook takes the vague idea of a target market and turns it into a rigorous, living ideal customer profile, a system for identifying, prioritizing, and engaging the right companies and the right people inside them. The argument underneath all of it is simple. A sharply defined ICP is the single most powerful lever you have for revenue growth because it multiplies the effectiveness of everything else your team does. It's built for B2B sales leaders, account executives, SDRs, marketers, and founders who are tired of low conversion rates and leads that were never a real fit. Anyone who suspects their ideal customer is defined too loosely and who feels the pain of deal stalling because some stakeholder's objection never surfaced until it was too late. By the end, you'll have a validated ICP statement, a working scorecard for scoring every lead, a map of your decision-making unit, and a targeted outreach playbook, the tools to confidently identify, prioritize, and engage your highest value prospects. Treat this like a project, not a training course. Set aside real time for each lesson. Be willing to go interview actual customers, and be willing to challenge what you already assume you know. Don't skip the validation lessons. They're the difference between a theory you believe and a tool that actually works. Lesson 1 starts right now.